Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today I'm showing you the process of building my new garden at the new house. I'm so excited about this. I've been sharing about it on Instagram. Lots of sneak peeks. If you follow me there, then you've definitely already seen this. So follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. It's just De La Plants. But yeah, I'm really excited to show you the process of making this new garden happen. It was a journey. And as you guys know, I have a corporate job now. So I'm having an entire work day and then coming home and working on this. So it has taken me a little bit of time, but obviously it was so worth it because now it's done and I'm really excited to grow my foods this year. And I'm implementing a lot of new changes this year that will make all of this more conducive for just living in a busy family. Like I have a job, I have a kid, I've got a husband, I've got dogs, and the garden really cannot be the central thing in my life anymore. And I just want to show, I guess through this video, the way I'm talking about it and also this gardening season, that gardening with all of these things is possible if you have the right tools and the right setup. So all of these beds are from Veggo Gardens. They were very kindly sent out by them and I am so thankful. I've been admiring these garden beds for a very long time and just been so excited to have them and implement them in my space, and truly they couldn't be a better match for my current house and the yard and everything else. I think if I had wood garden beds, it would feel like too much wood, like right up against the fencing. So I think it's a nice contrast and I love the simplicity of putting them together and filling them in all of the resources from other people who have filled Veggo garden beds. It's just incredible. So I want to rewind to the point in this whole planning process where I was putting together the garden beds, number one, and also deciding where the heck to put them in my yard, because that is a really, really important part of gardening. Today is really exciting because I'm showing you a raw, unfiltered look at the yard as it is now and all of my ideas. We are also going to be putting together some garden beds. I am so excited to get my gardening journey started, but I want there to be some like really good before footage so that we know where we came from, because we are working with the bare minimum here. This is probably the most open part of the whole yard. This little section here, I'm in the corner of the fence, and this is actually where I'm going to be putting my garden, where you can see that box. That's one of the garden beds in a box still. That tree that you see over there is an Asian pear tree. When we got here at the beginning of September, there was a ton of fruit on it, so I'm expecting big things. This is a fire pit that we have actually recently used. Probably for the first time this thing has ever been used. It didn't look like there was any evidence of use, but anyway, I would really like to turn this into a pond. And the hard part's already done, like the hole has been dug. I don't want it to be shaped like a perfect square, so what I might do is like etch out like little like more shallow areas right here and maybe over there, just to give it more of like a round shape. But yeah, that's really cool that that's already there. This will be the future pond and it'll be right next to the garden, which is gonna go like in this whole area. Ew. So the garden beds that I have, it's in pieces currently, but I have these 17-inch tall raised garden beds. And with it being modular, you can sort of decide what shape and size you want these to be because it's all in small pieces like this. So I think I'm gonna go for the long, skinny variety here because I don't know, I liked the way that that was in my old garden. It was nice to be able to plant stuff like on one end and then on the other and have them be completely different and like kind of separate, getting separate treatment and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is line up the corrugated pieces and just bolt them together. Basically just going to be a lot of that, so you can enjoy a little time lapse of putting this together. So this is one of the possible locations for the garden. And what makes all of this difficult is I'm having to also consider filming. And the reason that I like this is because I will never have to worry about getting something in the background while I'm filming. Just logistically, that's going to make my life a lot easier. I'm not going to have to blur things. I'm just not going to have to be thinking about that. But it doesn't get full sun until about halfway through the day, because my house will block all of the morning light. But it will get some pretty intense afternoon light. So I don't know if that would make up for it. I feel like morning light is more favorable because it's not as hot. But regardless, I did have them lined up right here as we were building them, and I just really loved the way that it looked. And I also liked the idea of being able to like look out my kitchen window and see them. But again, with the lighting situation, I feel like light is so important for a garden. Well, I don't feel like that. I know it is. So that's why I'm hesitant on this spot. The next possibility is along the fence here. And I feel like this one is a top contender. I like this. There's also this big mound right here for some reason, and I don't know why. So that kind of throws me off that it's like raised and then we have the beds here. But I do like this spot. It would get good sun all day. And it's right next to the shed. Like, you are literally on the corner of the shed. So I kind of like the idea of the garden all being like next to each other. So that's this option, which I think is winning so far. Now, this was my first thought that I had when I was building out the garden idea. I wanted to have all four of them kind of in line with each other, but then I didn't like that this one was right behind this one, or right in front of this one. So I staggered them a little bit. I don't like it now. I feel like I like the look of them all being in line with each other. And also to note, I have a trellis that is going to go from one to the other. So a thought that I just had is, what if I line them up along this fence line? But then it's like the same concept as that one. And I feel like that one is going to be more out of the way, because what if eventually we want to put up like a little play set for Nora? So yeah, those are all of my thoughts. So obviously we landed on this option, as you can see here. I love this option a lot because we're right up against the fence here, and I was actually scrolling on Facebook Marketplace and I saw some really cool on the fence garden beds that people were like hanging, and I just think that I can make this whole corner a huge moment. And like, I didn't want this garden to be my entire yard because I don't have all of the space in the world, and I have dogs, and I have a daughter who might eventually want a play set. So I wanted to still have room for other life in my yard. So this feels like a really great compromise, and I love the way that it just like fills this space. It's so beautiful. The next part in all of this was filling them, which was a little bit difficult for me to figure out. And I want to say this is a huge contrast from how I filled my garden beds in Missouri, because I learned a ton in that process, and that is just one of the things that I love about gardening. One of the things that I'm thankful for to have moved here for was to have the opportunity to make a new garden and kind of start over. And eventually, if and when we make it back to that house in Missouri, we can kind of revamp all of that with all of this new information that we've learned from this. I did things a little bit backwards. I installed the garden beds where I wanted them to go, and then I put in the cardboard, which, by the way, all of the cardboard and paper that you saw me putting in is from our move that we had in September. So I have been hoarding cardboard and paper, moving paper, since we moved, and my husband has been absolutely hating it. But it paid off because I was able to fill in a good portion of the beds. We had firewood delivered. I got it on Marketplace, and I bought a rick and a half, because firewood is measured by the rick, measured and sold by the rick. I don't know who Rick is, but he is iconic. This is a huge contrast to my last garden, because in my last garden I used topsoil on the bottom, and then the top foot of the soil was bagged garden soil, which was peat based, because that really is largely what is available and the cheapest. But this year I did decide to splurge a little bit, and I'm using the mushroom compost from Just Natural, and the bags are very small. But like, honestly, when I broke down the pricing, it was about the same as what I spent like the first time, all of this. And it's way higher quality materials, I hope, fingers crossed. Like, you really don't know until you're like actually in it, but it feels nice. We are now filling the garden beds, and I decided to go with mushroom compost. I needed a lot of bags of this because it's 0.75 cubic feet. We bought a lot of bags, and we're now going to fill the beds as best we can. I am going to tell you this hot tip. Please do not put anything in your garden beds until you have everything assembled. I sort of assembled things in pieces because I'm working out of the home and I was not able to just like dedicate a full weekend to doing this. So it was kind of disjointed over a couple of weeks. But again, I want to show you that it is possible. It just takes a little bit more time. So I assembled the beds and then I put them in place and then I started putting stuff in them, and I kind of forgot that the trellis actually hooks onto the sides of the beds, which is a really, really cool thing about these trellises, because I had before a cattle panel trellis at my old place, and I had to install T-posts, and to be honest, I always thought it was kind of ugly, but that's just how you have to do it to hold the cattle panel in place. And with these, they install into the side of the garden beds. I'm definitely going to be very picky about what I put in here, and I am kind of glad that I only have 4 beds because I can really consolidate things, because again, I don't have a lot of time to dedicate out here to doing this kind of stuff, but I still wanted to do it. I am really looking forward to building more stuff to put on the back wall and a compost bin, because I don't currently have a compost bin. So anyways, friends, that is the full story on building these garden beds, filling them, and a couple of tips and tricks along the way. I'm really looking forward to sharing my gardening journey with you guys on this channel and my vlog channel, so you can follow me over there. It's called Dela Creations, and I share my garden vlogs over there mostly, but like you will definitely see this here quite a lot because again, it's a smaller space, so it'll be in the background and I'll bring you out here to show you more. There's a few things still on the to-do list, like bringing in irrigation. We do have a spigot over there and it's actually not that far comparatively, so I don't want to hand water. Since our lives are so much busier now and I'm not gonna have every single evening and morning to go out and water the garden, it is important that we do that and just kind of like automate more things out here. So stay tuned as we do that and install all of that. I want to do that definitely before there are plants here. But in Oklahoma, where I'm currently living, zone 7, they say to not plant until after Easter. So in Missouri, it was Mother's Day, and here it's Easter, and I'm really excited because that is like a month earlier than I was gardening before. So technically I should have seeds started, which I don't. I'm probably just going to buy starter plants from like local nurseries and stuff. And there's certain flowers that I will definitely start from seed, but I'm really excited. Like my to-do list now is to just like plan out everything that I want to put in the garden beds and all of the flowers and all of that kind of stuff. But I really, really want to integrate both flowers and vegetables equally because they're both really important for each other. Like you want to bring in the pollinators, and currently the yard feels very sterile and I don't know if the pollinators would even know we're here. So once they figure out that this is here, they will hopefully always come back because it'll be like a buffet for them. If you are interested in checking out these garden beds from Veggie Gardens, I would highly recommend. They are so beautiful, so easy to assemble, and I know they're going to last like a very, very long time. You are not going to have to replace these at the frequency that you would have to replace a wood garden system, which at my old house I have wood, and I already know that by the time we move back there, I'm going to have to start over. And whereas with these, that's not going to happen because it's just the material is totally different. So anyway, there's a lot of technology built into how these garden beds are made, and I would love to talk about it with you further another time, but I just generally wanted to show you like how it's done and how I did it as a person who is still relatively new to gardening in the grand scheme of things, but you know, has a little experience under my belt building a garden system. But I just wanted this one to be very low maintenance and not feel like a huge burden on me. And also you might notice that I didn't lay down any pebbles or wood chips or anything on the ground around the beds, but I did space them so that we could mow between them. And the reason that I did that is, again, a maintenance thing. One of the biggest hurdles that I had in Missouri was having to pull weeds so often, because weed barrier only lasts so long, and eventually you're just fighting the grass and the weeds every single season, and it was getting really old. And so I'm hoping that maybe doing something like this is a little bit more low maintenance. And maybe I'll find out here that the weeds aren't as intense, and maybe we can do like a wood chip situation, but I don't know. We'll see. I do have a special link and code through Veggie Gardens, so if you shop through the link, they'll know that I sent you, and also you will get $10 off your entire purchase when you use my code BeccaDeLaPlants10. They have a lot of accessories in addition to the trellises and the garden beds. They have so many different types of garden beds, different heights, different shapes and configurations. What's really nice about these is I could have made them like really long skinny garden beds, but I kind of prefer like the shorter, fatter ones. These ones are like 6.5 by 3.5, but it's cool to know that like if we move, I could take these, and because I'm just undoing all the hardware, and configure them in a different way, or I don't know, even if we don't move, if I want to change it up here. Don't foresee that happening exactly, but it could happen. But yeah, I'll have all of that information linked down below, and I will definitely be doing some shopping myself to add more accessories into all of this, because I do think they also have a little composter that you put on the side of your garden beds. And I saw that they have solar lights, which is going to be really great for me, because in all likelihood, I am going to be out here like late at night, and it would be nice to have my path lit. And I just think that'd be really pretty in general. Like, I think lighting around the yard is really underrated, and I want to do a lot more of that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here along for all of the different journeys. We are in our Oklahoma era, and we are making the best of it. And I think that this garden is going to really, really make me feel more at home, because in total transparency, I am having a hard time integrating into life here, and it has felt very hard. But I hope that having this reminder of home, okay, I'm gonna cry. Ooh, I didn't want to cry. There's just so much that I miss about our home in Missouri, and being able to garden and like just be in nature so much is a big part of that. I always like to share on my channel how, you know, we can bring nature inside, we can make our own nature, and this is sort of like my outside version of doing that same thing. Sorry, I'm like getting choked up, and I'm really trying not to cry on the internet, but yeah, you guys probably understand, like I've talked about how hard this has been for me personally, but generally like happy to have my family all together and like to be able to experience different places together. It's really special in that way, but it is undeniably hard to leave places that you really love. So I'm really hoping that this kind of gives me that sense of home. Ultimately, that's what this is. So anyway, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go cry about this, not on the internet. But thank you so much for watching this video. And again, I'll have everything linked down below if you guys are interested in any of this. And I will see you in the next gardening video. Bye.